Maybe I introduce myself first. My name is Antje. I am originally German, but I live in California for 5 years now. And since being here, I've tried to find different ways to work and express myself because the things I did before doesn't work anymore. And last year, I discovered a method that is called Neurographica, and we're going to work with that. It's a drawing practice. It was developed by a Russian artist and architect. His name is Pavel Piskarev. And you can find more information about him on my website. Like I have a little description about what Neurographica is. So he developed this drawing method, and it's really about the drawing process. So we're using art, we're using the drawing to go into a deeper process within ourselves. And the way he describes it is that we connect the conscious and the subconscious mind through drawing, because drawing kind of activates the right hemisphere of the brain. It's like something to do with color that doesn't have words. So for me personally, I've made the experience that I get into a place inside myself that is beyond what I can express in words. So I'm getting to places where I, for example, understand things in different ways. So I've been playing around with it for a while. I did a course to be a Neurographica specialist, which means that I can use it in my work and that I can teach certain things. And right now I'm actually doing like a bigger teacher course to be able to, this crazy light here, to be able to actually teach the method. So that's going to happen next year, whenever I'm finished. And what we want to do today is dive into feminine power. I don't know, maybe some of you might be here because you heard that interview from the Sacred Feminine Power podcast that I was invited to do with Amy Mutale. And she's doing this podcast about feminine power, sacred feminine power. And she's like, the first question she asked me is like, what is sacred feminine power to you? And it really got me thinking. And she offered the possibility to offer a free gift. So I started thinking about how can I express this power that is kind of inside me and I can feel it. I know it's there somewhere, but how do I express it? What does it look like? How can I bring it onto a picture? How can I describe it in visual terms without really drawing a woman, for example? The Neurographica method works with very simple shapes, very archaic, and like shapes that don't have just one meaning. For example, the circle. We use a lot of circles. So today we're going to draw circles. And for me, it's especially the circle is such a profound shape because it can mean a lot of different things and we can put meaning into it. So that's what we're going to do. We use the shapes and infuse them with meaning. And we're gonna draw actually 4 circles. So I'm gonna just explain very briefly, and then I'm just gonna guide you step by step through the process. So my idea was to draw with the symbolism of the moon, which has been like a symbolism for feminine power and feminine connection. And we have this like I found a lot of images of it online. For example, the triple goddess, I don't know if you know that, it's the waning moon, the full moon, and the waxing moon. And it's like this 3-headed goddess, so to say. And that is representing the 3 different aspects of the feminine, Well, for me, one is missing in there. This is why I added a fourth one. And I'm going to dive into that in a little bit, like why I think it's missing. And yeah, then you can just find in yourself how you feel about it. So to dive in, I would actually like to start with a little meditation. I often start my drawing processes with meditation, or someone else is joining. Wonderful. So I'm going to invite you to just sit comfortably. Place your feet on the ground so that you really feel your feet on the ground. You can close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths, becoming aware of your body. And really take deep out breaths, deep exhales, concentrating on the exhale more than the inhale to let go. Letting go with the breath, letting go of everything that came before this moment, everything that happened today so far. Breathing it in and exhaling, letting go. Extending the exhale. And then anything that draws your attention into the future, anything that may be in your mind that's gonna happen further on today, inhaling it and exhale and letting go. And you can take a few more deep breaths like that. And really see if you can almost make your exhale audible to yourself. The letting go. And then let's take a deep breath. Getting into this moment together, diving in. And really settling into the here and now. And with it, settling in your body. And now just becoming aware of your body as it is right now. Feeling into yourself, checking in. And just see what is there without trying to change it. Just let your awareness float throughout your body. Now feel into your sacred feminine power. When I say this, where does it light up in your body? Is there any part that says, yeah, here, that's me? Where does it guide you right now? It doesn't have to be there forever. Just being with it for a moment, breathing into it, feeling the sensation. Now move into your emotions. What emotions come up when I say sacred feminine power? What do you feel? And again, without judging, just being with it. With what is now. where it takes you. And now finally, let's look at where your thoughts go. I'm sure they have been drifting here and there. So what do you think about your sacred feminine power without getting stuck in it? Just observing. And letting the thoughts come and go. So those are our 3 tools. Our awareness of the body, of the emotions, and of our thoughts, together with the breath. And we're going to come back to these throughout the drawing process, throughout our art, our creative process. We're going to keep checking in. And that will provide more information about the drawing, about the process, about where you're going with it. So I invite you to just be open to it and to allow whatever comes up to come up without judging it. And now coming back, you can bring your hands together in front of your chest, taking another deep breath, letting go of any tension that may have built up, breathing it out. And then you can rub your hands together, bringing the energy into your hands, warming them up, and just feel this warm feeling. The blood is flowing. We're bringing this energy into our hands. Our hands are going to be the tools that we work with to draw. And then whenever your hands feel nice and warm, you can place them over your eyes. Just feeling the vibration radiating out, breathing it in, letting it nurture your eyes, your inner eye, your third eye, activating your visual field. And then you can very slowly and gently start opening your eyes again, blinking, coming back into the room, into the space where you're at, and staying in that feeling. You can wash your hand over your face, over your head, over your body. Just arriving, touching any places of your body that need attention or love. So I'm going to switch my camera so that you see what I draw and you can follow. And I talked about it before. You need some kind of markers. I use black, but you can use any other color. The only thing is it's good if it's dark color, because you want to see it under your pencils. So I'm going to switch my camera. Okay, there we go. Okay. And as I said, if you have any questions or anything, just type something into the chat. I have the chat open and I'm checking it, and then I can unmute you. So you don't have to, like if it's a longer question or something, or a comment. Okay, so let's dive in. So we're gonna start with a thinner pen. You can also use a pencil for this. And this first part is to see where we are right now. So it's kind of have a diagnostic quality to it. I don't really call it diagnostic, but Pavel always calls it diagnostic because he's a psychology professor, so he does diagnosis. I just think it's a checking in where we are right now. So this whole process, let it be very intuitive, especially this first part. So we're going to dive into these feminine aspects. And as I said, I found like a lot of feminine expression. For me, it's like we're not one. I think that is like the thing that came up for me first. Like as a feminine being, I am not just one, I am many. And so we're going to try to bring those many into a balance within ourselves. And we're going to do this through the drawing. So first, I'm inviting you to feel into the archetype of the maiden. The maiden, the young girl. I know that there's a part of each woman that has the maiden inside. Maybe you also have daughters or even granddaughters, but just feel into what is your connection with the maiden. And then you can just move your pen over the paper and see where it wants to go. And then that is the place where your maiden goes. And then we're going to express all of these feminine aspects as circles for now. So just draw very intuitively a circle. And that will be your maiden. And just feel into how big it is and where it is. And this is going to be the first part of seeing where we're at right now. And the circles, they don't have to be perfect. It's not about perfection. It's just about feeling into it. So we got the first circle. It's going to be the maiden. I'm going to write into it maiden. You can do that. You don't have to do that though. Whew. Okay. So we're just going to go through all these aspects and then work with them. So the next one that we can feel into is the mother. I personally don't have children. So for me, the mother is more a connection to my mother, but it's also a connection to the creative aspect of us. So just feel into where it is for you. How big is this mother energy in your life? Do you mother? Do you take care of someone? And just feel and move your pen over your paper until you feel this is where the mother is. And then you can make another circle for the mother energy. And they don't have to be the same size. So they, each circle, the size of a circle can have a meaning. So if I have a giant mother circle, then I'm probably going to be at home with my baby right now. And this is all I'm immersed in. So it's really the first part about feeling into it, what part, this part of womanhood, this part of the feminine plays in your life. And then we go into the third one, which I kind of switched out a little bit. I'm not going to jump to the crone right away, but I'm going to go a step in between, because I feel there is a part of each woman that in our society is a little bit hidden in a way. And this for me is the medicine woman, the healer, the one that we also might call the wild woman, the one that is a little bit outside of our norms of society. And yeah, just feel into this aspect of yourself, into your inner healer, into the one that looks into the shadow aspects, for example. Because as we all learn right now, healing is not this beautiful, serene process, but it actually takes a lot of work and maybe painful. So just float over your paper again and feel into the healer aspect of you and find your medicine woman. And for me, the medicine woman is definitely the big one. But you don't have to like judge it in any way. Whatever comes out right now, just intuitively, just let it be, and we will find ways to change it, for example, later. The circles can overlap. So yeah, any circles can overlap. Well, sorry, I answered that a little bit later. Sorry, Darlene. I hope you heard that. Yeah, the circles can be anywhere on the space, any size. They can completely overlap. Two circles can be in one or something, whatever it feels like. This is really about trusting your intuition. And then the last one, we dive into the crone, into the wise woman. And for me, this is mostly my relationship with my grandmothers. And it's kind of where I aspire to go in the future. So just move over the paper, feeling into the crone energy, into the wise woman. How much wisdom did you acquire so far? Where do you feel with that? My wise woman is in the medicine woman. Right, wise woman. Okay, so this first image now is just an image of how it feels for you right now. And now we have the ability to adjust and change whatever we want to change in this. This is the magic of the Neurographica method. We can create our own imagery. We don't have to stay with that. So I'm going to imagine that my maiden is a little bit small, and I actually like this playful energy, and I would like to have more of it in my life. So I'm going to extend the circle and draw a bigger line to make it bigger. So I'm going to make my maiden a little bit bigger. And I think also maybe my mother, she needs to be a little bit bigger too. So just feel into where you would like to be, how you would like to express these parts of yourself in maybe a bigger way or also in a smaller way. So I'm going to just shrink my medicine woman down a tiny little bit because I actually like her big, but maybe she's taking a bit too much space. So I'm just going to go a little bit smaller. And you can just go around these circles a few times. Feel it with a kind of loose hand. So as I said, they don't have to be perfect. And then the wise woman, well, I'm just not there yet. I think this is something for me to look into the future. But she's a part of me, and I am developing her right now. So I want her definitely to be an important part of myself. So now I have a picture that represents in a way more where I would like to be. And then I know my circles are all connected. If your circles are not all connected, that is totally fine. And now we are going to connect them. So you can just move from one circle. I'm going to start with a maiden and just move around my maiden circle, and then move a line to my mother circle. And these lines, the only rule about them is that they are not straight. They don't have a straightness to them. They have like a waviness, I call it, to them. So we're just connecting one, but connect another one to the mother. Those lines can go through circles too. Just moving from one to the other. And I'm going to go from my maiden into my healer woman, into my medicine woman, connecting them. And while you're doing that, just feel into your body and see what comes up. And feel your emotions, observing if any emotions pop up. How do you feel with that? And your thoughts, where are they going? Just becoming very aware of how it feels to you, making these connections. And then at last, I'm going to go from my maiden all the way to my wise woman, because they are connected too. So I want to create connections between all of them. And you can make as many connections as you want. And those lines, they don't, I mean, they have a direction, but they, as I said, they're just not straight. They're kind of just making their way through. You can go over lines as many times as you want, if you want to make them bigger, for example. So I imagine this connection between my maiden and my crone there, it's very important to me for some reason. So I'm going to make it bigger. And then I move to my mother. I move around the mother, feeling into the mother energy. And connecting back to the maiden again. Creating as many interconnections as we can. And the picture may look chaotic for a little moment, but I think that is just reflecting really well a part of our feminine nature. So we're gonna just go with it. Using the lines to connect. I'm gonna go from my mother to the medicine woman. Just feeling into her, feeling into that connection between my creative self and my inner healer. And then I'm going to go from the mother to the wise woman, receiving the wisdom, growing my wise woman with the wisdom of motherhood, the wisdom of creativity. And then I'm going to move to the medicine woman, feeling into her, to this aspect of myself, feeling into the hidden side, connecting her to the maiden, to this young and innocent part of myself. And going from the medicine woman to the mother, the medicine that I need as a mother, maybe to heal my children. Just connecting them and feeling into it, staying aware of your emotions, of your body. And then at last moving into the into the wise woman, the crone, feeling into the energy and moving from her to the maiden, back to the maiden, back to the youthful one, looking back with a smile, and moving from the wise woman to the mother, looking back to all the gifts that we received in our creativity, maybe in motherhood, all the lessons learned. And then moving from the wise woman to our medicine woman, taking the wisdom of the medicine in, and just creating connections. Whenever you feel there's tension building up or something, just exhale. Long and deep and strong exhale, letting go. So now we created a web, the web of our feminine power. And it's kind of floating in space. I wish now I had a little bit of bigger paper. Maybe you have a bigger paper, so maybe there's space around your picture now, or around this figure, around this one thing that we created out of the 4 circles. So now we want to connect to the outside world. And in Neurographica, we say that you can always extend the picture. So if you feel like your feminine power is kind of in a small space right now, you could, for example, glue your piece of paper onto a bigger one. I would probably do that later, because now we don't have time for that. But if you feel the picture needs to be bigger, you can extend the canvas. So I'm going to go from well, I'm going to start with a maiden again, and then I'm going to just show you how I would extend the canvas. Now, if I have my maiden here now, I will go from the maiden to the outside and all the way out of the picture. So mine is already out, but I extended it. And this is something, yeah, that you can, it's an option to do later. But for now, we're just gonna go on to the end of our paper, which for me is kind of short. Well, and just imagine that you're connecting to the outside world. You're bringing your maiden, your happiness, your youthfulness, the girl inside you to the outside world, expressing her. Really just feel into that. And feel again where it meets into your body. What is your reaction? Is there emotion coming up? Or do you have thoughts? And you can make as many connections to the outside as you want. I don't have so much space, so I'm gonna just move on to the mother. And imagine my creativity is moving out, connecting to the world, being seen with it. You can just see around your circle where there's spaces to move outside. And then I'm going to move on to my medicine woman, connect her to the outside world, bringing my medicine into this world where it's needed. This also means looking at the shadows. This means calling out. This means maybe making people uncomfortable, but that's okay because that's what the medicine woman is for. This is her function. And just feeling into it, into what it would feel like to bring your personal medicine into the world. And then finally, the wisdom, bringing your wisdom into the world, everything that you've learned, sharing it. Staying with the breath. So now we have created a web that is connected to our world. For me, this step is also always a very important one because I feel it empowers me a lot to be more connected to the world. But just taking a moment and feeling into it. See if you need anything else in your picture for now. And you can always add more lines if you feel like it. It's kind of a lot of lines already, but if you feel like it, it's always possible to add more lines. And as I said, you can extend the canvas later and just create a bigger picture. Pavel, he always says that the quality of a picture grows with the number of lines. So we're doing a high quality picture here. Okay, and the next step that we do is a very important one, and it may feel very daunting a little bit because we're going to go into all the spaces that we created right now. We have all these lines, and we have sections where the lines overlap. And to explain this, I'm going to show this in a bigger kind of model. So I have a line here and a line there, and maybe another one there, and maybe another one there. So I have all these sections in between that are creating shapes now. And they have these cross sections. And the cross sections, when they just cross like that, they have a kind of aggressive feeling because it's two roads crossing and you have to choose one. So we want to unite them and connect them. And we do that by taking away the corners. So I'm going to draw all the corners. And here I have a hub now that looks a little bit like the connections in our brain at the end. So we're going to do that for all the connections in our picture. And it may be a lot right now. So it may feel like that's a crazy idea to do. But we're gonna just try, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like all super pretty. But yeah, I hope you see what I mean. So I don't have crossroads anymore. I have connections instead. And now I'm going to go through my picture and connect everything, and literally everything. So I'm going in all the little corners, and I always do it like I draw around the shape that was created on the inside. So instead of following each line, I follow the shape inside the lines. So if you have small spaces, for example, you can just make a little circle there or a little oval or something there. And it's a little bit like looking into the spaces between the lines. I always like to compare it to reading between the lines. So we created all these connections now, and now we can feel into the connections. And this is the part where it can become very meditative and you can really get lost in it. So just allow yourself to get lost in this process. And while you do that, try to remain aware of your sensations, of your body, of your emotions. Maybe a shape triggers something. Maybe a memory comes up or a thought. Just try to not get stuck in it. Just let it flow through you. Be aware of it. Let it come into your consciousness. And just imagine you're connecting everything, feeling into the connection. and harmonizing it by taking away all the harsh corners. We're harmonizing the picture, and in it also harmonize a part of ourselves. Maybe where there was a little conflict between two parts of our feminine. Now we can let that go. And as I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you feel tension in a way, exhale, breathe it out. Don't forget to breathe. When you feel you're holding your breath, just take a deep exhale, bring it back into flow. And you can decide if you want to use those lines that we had before, the smaller circles, or just go over them, depending probably also what kind of pen you used before. I'm just going to leave them right now. Just really dive into it. Seems like a lot of work, but this is the process. And this drawing is all about the process. Just let yourself be and feel however you feel. Giving attention to all the little parts of us. It's like paying attention and giving awareness to all the parts that may not be seen in everyday life. Now we can just give them some awareness. That we can be and feel seen completely with everything. even with our darkest little corners. And we see our own hidden self. I'm guessing this process is probably going to take longer for all of you. So just go as far as you come with it right now, to where you feel it kind of looks rounded. And you can always come back and work on it more. Remember to breathe. I decided to make the lines from my other circles disappear and use them in the picture as well. And so I'm going to continue with the colors now. If you feel you want to continue with this process, you can just stay with it and do the colors later. It's actually good to do this rounding process until you really feel complete with it. That's what Pavel says, because it's a kind of psychological process. And then if you still have some corners in your picture, it may trigger your subconscious, but you can decide that for yourself. And you can always watch the recording. So I'm going to send around the recording. And if you're watching the recording, you can stop it and just take as much time for this process as you need, because this is like one of the most important parts of this journey. Where it really goes into our subconscious. Okay, but I'm going to continue with colors now. So you can join me with the colors or continue with that however you feel. So with the colors, we want to go into colors with intuition. So I literally, most of the time, just grab a color, just the first one that jumps into my hand is going to be it. And we can use many different colors, but I'm going to start with one color. And then just feel into where in your image this color goes. And then I just start coloring. And the coloring is not so much about coloring like we all learned it in school, staying within the lines and coloring a certain part of the picture. The coloring is, for me, a very freeing process because it actually gets out of that. So you can color over the lines, color outside of the lines, and you do not have to fill a segment or a little section that you created completely. Oh, can you see the colors? More or less, huh? More. So it is really a process of freeing yourself from any concepts, any ideas and any rules that you had about this before. And you just feel into where this color wants to go. It can go all over the picture, and it can just make little spots here and there. It's nice if it flows through the picture, because it's also a way to connect different parts of the picture again in a different way, like we did with the lines, but now we do it in a different process. And really just feeling into how much of this color we need. We need a lot of blue today. And you can always come back to it too. And then when you feel like it, you just switch to the next one. You can mix colors, so you can go over a space twice with different colors. That's the nice thing about the colored pencils. They actually mix. You may see the color underneath shining through. And you can, of course, create shadings. But really, it's mostly about just feeling into it. Also, we do not have to color the entire picture, so it's okay if there's white spaces. And the white spaces are actually there to open us up to possibilities. So if I have a white spot in my picture, it's not a bad spot, is it? It is just a spot of something that I may not have thought of, or something that is not clear yet. So allow yourself to leave spaces white as well. And maybe there's shapes just appearing, maybe not. Just allow yourself to be really intuitive with it and really be like a kid and color over the lines. I think, like for me, that's always the most, or like in the beginning, that was the most profound practice in it, to just go over the lines. Don't be confined, not by society, not by what we've learned. We can unlearn it all. You can go over a segment as many times as you feel. Just layer the colors. Let them flow through the picture. And just play with it. This part is really where we become playful. Don't forget to breathe and remain aware how your body feels with the colors. I often choose the color that would make me feel the happiest now. So when I'm not sure which color I'm going to use next, I just ask myself, okay, what would make me feel really good right now? And then I use this color. And really using this quality of color to alter our mind, our emotions, our feelings. And at the end, the picture doesn't have to be pretty. It's more important that it speaks to you. So it's really not about any standards or anything that we learn art should be. It is more about breaking all those standards and finding our own creative spark. And just going with it. And the colors, of course, they can hold messages for you. So just remain open to what you're feeling. And only you should like it. Make you feel something. You can always add more, make more layers. Until you feel satisfied with it. pictures always go a little crazy. Yeah, it's just your own aesthetic feeling. Okay, and now, well, you can, of course, color as long as you want. I'm just gonna keep on going so that we can finish the whole thing and maybe speak a few words afterward. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to draw big pathways through the picture, which means we got all these lines already, and some of them are connecting to my circles to the outside, some of them are connecting them in between. Now I will draw a line that goes from one side of the picture to the other, that moves through the entire picture. And the way I imagine that is like a big river. So it is going to connect all the different parts. And we can draw several of those. I'm going to just start with one. I need a fatter pen. So if you don't have a really super fat pen, you can just go over it several times. I have a super fat pen, so I'm just going to go like this. So I'm going to go through the entire picture, and you can move in a line that was already there. You can also divert from it and just move in a new way. And this one really wants to be big. It doesn't have to be even. It can have like corners. And I always think of it as like, if I imagine my picture is the jungle, then this one would be the Amazon River, the one that brings energy to everything, that nurtures the entire rainforest, and in this case it nurtures my entire picture. So you can just follow this line a few times. And as I said, it doesn't have to be even, it can have thicker and thinner parts. And you can do several lines as well. I'm going to do a second one. They can also merge into each other or cross. And they're just meandering through my picture in a slower pace and really bringing energy everywhere. And then, of course, I created some intersections here that I want to round out again so that my big river is smoothly connected to the rest of the picture. So after I did that, I'm going to go through and round one more time, just smoothing out some of the corners that I just created. And as I said, it never has to be perfect. It just needs to feel good in the end. And you can always come back and do more. And as I said, you could like extend the picture, make it much bigger. And then I'm going to feel into where this big line takes me now. So in a way, it's also a path through my picture now. And I can create several paths. I can only have one big path. This is all up to you and how you feel. Like I felt it was kind of not strong enough, so I had to add a second one. but I can see that both paths go into the same direction. And they cross, but they don't stop each other. They nurture each other. So I'm going to look into, where does this path take me? Which one of my feminine aspects that I've been working with is the most important, or is the one that I really need to focus on right now? I had this gigantic medicine woman already, but I'm kind of feeling I want to concentrate on my mother aspect more, on the creative side, and on the things that I need to nurture and that I need to grow and birth into this life. So I'm going to extend this, not extend it, make it bigger, like make this circle much more much more intense, much fatter, like make the line so fat that when I look at the picture, this is going to be the first circle I see. You can also do this very intuitively. You know, where do you feel most of the energy goes? If you really don't know which circle to enhance, you can just close your eyes slightly and blink at your picture and see which one is the one that jumps into your eyes first, which one is the one that wants to be seen. Or you can also, like I just did, make this a conscious decision, because I know that I want to strengthen this part of myself, especially my creativity. I want this to become a strong aspect of me, and I want to strengthen this connection. So I created this super fat circle now, and when I look into the picture, this is going to be the focus point. This is going to be the circle that I see first. And then I'm going to round again a little bit, where I created new corners now out of this circle. So this rounding process is really a process that kind of almost never ends. Harmonizing it again, harmonizing myself with it and connecting with it, connecting with this idea, with this aspect of myself, this mothering part, this creative energy. And when I'm all around one time, then this is the last step of the process. But you can, even after this step, you can still add more color, or add more lines, add more rounding wherever you feel there's a corner somewhere that's sticking out. So yeah, that is the Neurographica of our sacred feminine power.